Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. I am Akshay Parmar, Assistant Professor at LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology in IT/IC department. Welcome to the video tutorial series of the data communication and the computer network. Today we will discuss about the IEEE 802.6 standard, and in that we will discuss about DQDB. Right? So for this today's session, see the IEEE 802.6 standard. Let's see IEEE 802.6 standard DQDB. DQDB is stand for the distributed queued dual bus, right? Distributed queue dual bus is the full form of the DQDB. This is the main protocol to be used for the data link layer communication. This is the main protocol to be used for the data link layer communication. It can be defined as the high-speed shared medium access control protocol that is used over a bus network, right? It can be defined as a high-speed shared medium access control protocol that is used over the bus network, right? It is a two unidirectional bus for the controlling purpose, where the bus can carry data, video, and the voice over the network with the bandwidth being allocated per time slots, right? It can be extended up to the 30 miles at 34 or 35 mbps, right? So this is the basic functionality of the DQDB. Let's see the DQDB architecture, right? You can observe that it has a two bus system, right? Bus A and the bus B, right? Here in this figure you can see that we have the two unidirectional bus B and bus A, right? So we have this station from the station 1, station 2, station 3, station 4 and the station 5, right? We are sending a data from station 2 to station 4, right? This is the data packets there. So let's see how its architecture is working, right? So as we have observed that in the figure, the two unidirectional buses are there, right? Which are labeled as the bus A and the bus B. We have also seen the 5 stations there, which are numbered from 1 to 5, and they are connected to the buses, right? Each bus connect the station directly through the input and the output parts. No drop line are used there, right? Each bus support the traffic in only the one direction, right? As you can see that, the bus B is transferring the data from right hand side only, and the bus A is transferring the data from left hand side only, right? So each bus is support traffic in the only one directional. The direction of the traffic on the buses is opposite of the traffic of the another, right? As we have seen that if the bus E is transferring the data from the right hand side, the bus A is transferring the data to the left hand side, right? So this is the opposite direction of the each other, right? The beginning of the each bus is represented by the square and the end by the triangle, as we have observed in that, right? So beginning is defined by the square and ending is defined by a triangle, right? So that's about the architecture of that DQDB. Bus A traffic move from the right to left, and bus A start the station from station 1 and end at the station 5. Bus B traffic move from left to right direction, right? Bus B start from the station 5 and end at the station 1 there, right? As we have seen in the figure. After that, the relationship of the station on the DQDB network depend on the direction of the traffic flow on the buses. As a bus is configured, station 1 and the 2 are considered to be upstream with respect to the station 3, and station 4 and 5 are considered to be the downstream with respect to the station 3. Station 1 has no upstream station but has the 4 downstream stations, right? For this reason, station 1 is considered as the head of the bus A. Station 5 has the no downstream, but it has the 4 upstream station. It is considered as the end of the bus A, right? So station 5 is considered a end of the bus A. Likewise, as a bus B is configured, station 1 and 2 are considered a downstream with respect to the station 3, and station 4 and 5 are considered as a upstream with respect to the station 3 with consider or in the context of the bus B, right? As we have seen that bus B is started from the station 5, so it is called the head of the bus B and it is ending at the station 1, so it is called the end of the bus B, right? After that, in this case, the station 5 has the no upstream station but has the 4 downstream station as in the context of this bus B. So station 5 is the head of the bus B. Station 1 has the no downstream station but has the 4 upstream station. So it is the end of the bus B, right? So you have one question arrived. How this DQDB protocol is working? Right? So the data travel, let's see the working of the DQDB. The data travel on each bus as stream of the 53 byte slots, right? The head of the bus, the station 1, generates an empty slot for use of the bus A. By that it is saying that station 1 is available to use. The head of the bus B, that is hold at the station 5, generate an empty slot for use of the bus B, right? And empty slots travel down its bus until and transmitting station drop data into the it, and it is intended destination station read the data, right? The source station must choose the bus for which the destination station is considered downstream. The slot in the each bus travel from head station to the end station, right? So the slots in the each bus travel from head station to the end station, right? So that's how the DQDB is working, right? After that, within each bus, the slots are moving toward the next downstream station. If station wants to send the data, it must choose the bus whose traffic flow toward the destination, right? If you want to send the data from station 2 to station 4, so you must need to choose the bus A, right? But if you want to send the data from station 5 to station 3, so you must need to choose a bus B, right? As shown in the figure, station 2 is sending the data to the station 4. The station 2 is chooses the slot on the bus A because bus A is following the downstream from the station 2 and forwarded the station 4, right? The head station in the bus A, that is the station 1, creates an empty slot, right? The station 2 drops its data into that passing slot and address the slot of the station 4, right? Station 3 reads that address and passes the slots along the unread station 4 recognize its address, right? It reads the data and change the status of the slot to read before passing it to along to station 5, right, where the slot is absorbed. It reads the data and changes the status of the slot to read before passing it along to station 5, where the slot is absorbed, right? So that's how the data is read at the destination end. Within each bus slot, slots are moving toward the next downstream. If the station wants to send the data, it must choose a bus whose traffic flow toward the destination as we have seen in our example, right? Each station is aware of the relative position of all other nodes, right? Distributed queue is a strong mechanism in which cells have the transmitted on first come first serve method, right? Let's see the DQDB layers, right? The IEEE defines both the medium access control sublayers and the physical layer of the DQDB. The MAC layer splits the data stream coming from the upper layers into the 48 byte segments and adds a 5 bytes of the header to each of the segment to create a slot of the 53 byte each. DQDB header is distributed among a 5 major fields: access address, type, priority, and the CRC. Right? Don't worry, we will discuss in brief about which kind of that session is there. Right? So in the DQDB layers, there are mainly two layers: LLC and the MAC. Right? The data link data from LLC or the other layer. Right? The IEEE defines the both the medium access control and MAC sublayers and the physical layer of the DQDB. MAC layer splits the data stream coming from the upper layers into the 48-byte segment and adds a 5-byte header to each of the segment to create a slot of the 53 byte each. DQDB header is distributed among the 5 major fields: access, address, type, priority, and the CRC. Right? So let's see in brief all that terms. Right? Access field. Let's begin with the access field. The DQDB access field is an 8-bit field that controls the access to the bus. It is subdivided into the 5 subfields: busy, slot type, reserved, previous slot read, PRS, and request, right? Busy bit. The B bit indicates whether or not the slot is arraying data when the set is meant to be slot is occupied, right? After that, the slot type. What do you mean by the slot type? As its name suggests, ST bit can define two type of slot. One for the pocket transmission and one is for the packet transmission, and other for asynchronous transmission used for the transmitting real-time audio and the video data at the constant rate. After that, it is subdivided into the reserve bit also, right? The bit R is reserved for the future use. The previous slot read, right? This bit is really important. The 2-bit long previous slot read bit or field is set to 0 by the address station once it has the read and the constant of the slots. Request bit. The request bit consists of the 3 bits set by the station to make the reservation for the slots. That's about the layering of the DQDB. Right? After that, the address field. It holds a 20 bit of the VCI to be used for the MAC and the WAN transmission. Type field. The 2-bit field indicates the payload as a user data management, data and so on. Right? After that, the priority field is there. It defines the priority of the slot in the network that uses the priority, right? And at the end, the CRC field. It is an 8-bit long bit, which is used for the error detection methods, right? So let's see how the DQDB is working. The SMDB, the switch multi-megabit data services, right? So it is a service for handling and high-speed communication for the metropolitan area network, main network, right? It was developed to support an organization that need to exchange the data between LAN located at the different part of the city or the large campuses, right? As you can see that this is the 4 site there: site 1, site 2, site 3, and site 4, right? Which is distributed at the different location in the city or in the large campuses, right? So this is the LAN of the site 1, this is the LAN of the site 3, this is the LAN of the site 2, this is the LAN of the site 4, right? That LANs are connected with the routers inside, right? And that routers are connected with the switches, right? That's how they are connected, LAN and WAN together with the help of the router, right? In the WAN, the switches are used, right? So let's discuss in brief about its architecture, right? So SMDB is a switch service provided by the common carrier. Subscriber pays only for the time they use. Subscriber pay only for the time they use, right? They don't have to pay more if they are using or not, right? Subscriber LANs linked to an SMSD network through the router that are connected to the switch using the DQDB architecture. Access to SMSD is coordinated through the SMD interface protocol. The SIP protocol defines the 3 levels, right? SIP level 3. It accepts the variable length data from higher level, adding the appropriate header and tailor field, right? The data field can be up to the 9188 bytes in the length. The header field is a 36 byte long and includes the source and the destination addressing, length, carrier access, carrier selection, and the higher layer protocol information, right? A tailor field, that is the 8 byte long, that can be included to provide an error checking mechanism. This is about the SIP level 3, right? After that, let's see the SIP level 2 and SIP level 1, right? In the SIP level 2, the SIP level 2 segments the level 3 frame into the series of short fixed light segment designed to transmit over the network, right? SIP level 2 conforms to IEEE 802.6 DQDB. So, hardware designed for DQDB can be used with SMDS. Each of the small segment in 53 bytes in the length and contains 44 byte of the data. The 44 byte of the data is preceded by 7 byte of the header and the followed by the 2 byte of the tailer. Right? That's how the SIP level 2 is working. The header contains the field for access constant, network control, segment type, that is continuation of the message, end of the message, single segment message, and so on, right? A sequence number and the message identifier. The tailer contains the payload length field and the CRC field, right? In the SIP level 1, which is it is responsible for the placing the 53 byte segment created at the SIP level 2 onto the physical medium. SMDS support the speed of the 1.544 Mbps over a digital signal level 1 or 44.736 Mbps over a digital signal of the level 3. Right? That's all about today's session. Thank you for the watching.